Now let's start coding in the waves. So I've added a couple things. I've added our spawn delay, so the delay in between waves. I've added in the current wave count and the current wave. So I set it as a default 1 since obviously the first wave we're starting with is 1. Now what I've done is I've extracted our spawn logic into a spawn function, and then I set the current wave count to current wave multiplied by 5. So essentially each wave will increase by 5 enemies with this function at this point. I've also added in an update, and what I do in here is if current wave count is 0, so if you've killed off all the enemies and now the count is 0, let's invoke, and this is a Unity function we can use to pass in the string name of a function, in this case spawn, with a spawn delay. So it will call this function after our spawn delay, which I have as a default of 5. And now the last bit of logic we need is that when a spider dies, it needs to let our spawner know to subtract 1 from the current enemy count. So now back in our hit damage script, what I'll do is I'll add in an action, and I'll set up the namespace, and we'll call it has died. And then inside our spawner script, I'll create a function called enemy has died, and I'll just do current wave count minus minus. And then inside our spawn function, I'll get reference to the enemy game object. And with that, I want to get reference to the hit damage script, and I'll set it with the get component of hit damage. And then I'll set the enemy has died function as a delegate to the has died action. And then I'm just going to drop in a debug here as a quick test. And then the last bit is to trigger the action. So inside our hitDamage.cs script, we're going to look at the hit function. And when death occurs, that's when we'll trigger this action. So all we need to do is check if it's been set. And if it's been set, then we just call the action. The A-star system we downloaded earlier and set up likes to spam our console. So let's disable that debug output for now, and we'll be able to then find our isDied debugs. So I'm going to go over to the inspector and set debug to none, and that's inside our A-star object. So now let's give that a try. So let's bring up the console, and let's try to kill some of these guys. Died. So it seems to be working. Now inside our spawner, I'm going to set a debug for spawn so we know that the next wave or current wave is starting. And we'll get the current wave count. Or sorry, just the current wave. I'm going to refactor these to be a little bit more descriptive as well. So instead of current wave count, it's actually the current enemy count. This is also our current wave number. I'm not 100% with that name, but I think it's slightly more descriptive than previous, so I'll go ahead and use it and possibly fix it up even more down the line. Okay, I'm also going to extract this out of the update, and I'll call it check if ready spawn for now. And next we just need to copy over this line so that it increases each time a spawn request goes through. And then the last bit is we need to increase the wave number so that we get more enemies each time a new wave starts. And that should be it. So now if we play, and I selected play on, maximize on play so that we can get a full screen view. If you watch the console now, you'll see that the next wave starts before we've killed the last enemy, And I'll explain why that happened. So what's happening is that there's no check in here to see if they're dead already. So even if they have died and we keep hitting them, it's going to keep calling the has died over and over. So we need to create a state, an is died state, and then check for that. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add a bool and set it initially to false. And then once everything's complete, I'll set it to true. And then over here, I'll make sure that they cannot be dead if we are to go into this scope. And that should solve it.